Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
Few thinkers have approached philosophy with the combined sensibilities of an engineer and an architect. Rudolf Carnap was such a figure, a quiet revolutionary who saw in the edifice of human knowledge a structure in desperate need of new foundations. He looked upon the grand pronouncements of traditional metaphysics and perceived, with the clarity of a logician, a series of magnificent but unstable castles built upon sand. His life's work would become a monumental attempt to rebuild philosophy itself, piece by piece, using the most durable materials he could find. The crystalline certainty of mathematics and the unyielding rigor of formal logic. His intellectual journey began in an environment saturated with foundational questions. Born in 1891, Carnap came of age in Germany, where the very bedrock of science was shifting. The certainties of Newtonian physics were being challenged, and within mathematics, a profound crisis of foundations was underway. It was in this crucible of intellectual ferment that he enrolled at the University of Jena. There, he had the extraordinary fortune to attend the lectures of Frege, a man whose work on logic was so revolutionary it would take decades for the world to fully appreciate its scope. Frege was engaged in a project of pure logicism, the demonstration that the truths of arithmetic were, at their core, elaborate truths of logic. For the young Carnap, Frege's lectures were a revelation. He witnessed firsthand a method that swept away ambiguity. Frege's *****, or concept script, presented a formal language capable of expressing mathematical proofs with unprecedented precision, a crystalline structure of pure reason. This encounter instilled in Carnap a lifelong conviction: ordinary language, with its poetry and its pitfalls, was an inadequate vessel for philosophical truth. A new, more precise instrument was required. To Frege's logical precision, Carnap would soon add the structural power of David Hilbert's formalism. Following his service in World War I, Carnap's intellectual path led him to absorb the work of the Göttingen school. Hilbert's program was a different, though complementary, attempt to secure mathematics. He proposed treating mathematical systems as formal games played with meaningless symbols according to strict rules. The goal was to prove, using simple, finite methods, that these systems were internally consistent, that one could never derive a contradiction like 0 = 1. The power of Hilbert's axiomatic method, the idea of starting with a set of basic axioms and deriving an entire system through logical deduction, offered Carnap a blueprint. He saw its potential application far beyond the realm of geometry or number theory. This method could provide the very skeleton for any rational system of knowledge. His 1922 doctoral dissertation, *Der Raum*, or space, gave an early glimpse of this synthetic ambition. In it, Carnap meticulously distinguished between three kinds of space: formal space, the abstract structure defined by axioms; physical space, the space of empirical physics; and intuitive space, the space of our immediate perception. The work was a masterful exercise in conceptual clarification, an attempt to map these different conceptions onto a coherent logical framework. It demonstrated his unique talent for dissecting complex concepts and reassembling them with logical clarity. This talent was precisely what the intellectual climate demanded. The philosophical landscape of the early 20th century presented a curious spectacle. While science and mathematics were undergoing revolutions in rigor, much of academic philosophy appeared to be drifting into ever deeper obscurity. Impenetrable thickets of metaphysical speculation yielded pronouncements offered with the gravity of profound insight, a performance that left those with a mathematical temperament feeling a certain intellectual vertigo. Carnap and his future colleagues saw this as a profound methodological failure. The problem of the very language of philosophy, which permitted questions that were, by their nature, unanswerable, and claims that were, by their structure, unverifiable. Carnap's response was a proposal of breathtaking audacity to refashion the very tools of philosophy. He envisioned philosophy's new role as the logic of science. Its primary task would be the logical analysis of the language used by scientists. To achieve this, he championed the development and use of formal languages. These were meticulously constructed systems, complete with a specified vocabulary of symbols, explicit rules for forming well-formed sentences, or formulas and clear principles for transforming one set of sentences into another. He envisioned a system where every term possessed a clear definition, every sentence a determinate structure, and every claim a path toward empirical verification. Metaphysical statements, when subjected to this rigorous analysis, would be revealed for what they were: sequences of words that failed to express a genuine proposition. They were syntactically well-formed illusions of meaning. This early work on formal systems and logical analysis served as his calling card to one of the most vibrant intellectual movements of the era. His ideas resonated deeply with Moritz Schlick, the physicist and philosopher who was the convening figure of the Vienna Circle. Schlick recognized in Carnap a mind capable of providing the technical, logical machinery that their shared project of scientific philosophy required. When Carnap joined the group, he quickly became its leading technical expert, the architect who could draw up the blueprints for their philosophical revolution. The influence of this early phase of Carnap's thought spread with remarkable speed. His rigorous application of logic provided a powerful model for his colleagues in Vienna and Prague. A young visitor from Oxford, Alfred Jules Aya, would distill these potent ideas into his explosive 1936 book, *Language, Truth, and Logic*, effectively serving as the Anglophone world's chief importer of Viennese logical rigor. Ayer's forceful arguments against metaphysics and his championing of the verification principle were direct echoes of the discussions taking place in Vienna, with Carnap's logical apparatus forming the implicit backbone of the entire polemic. The book's impact on British philosophy was immense, introducing a generation of thinkers to the stark and powerful clarity of the new logical empiricism. The enduring legacy of this foundational work extends far beyond the confines of academic philosophy. The DNA of these formal systems is woven into the fabric of our digital age. Every line of computer code, every database query, every algorithm that powers artificial intelligence is a testament to the power of constructing meaning within a precisely defined syntactic and semantic framework. Computer science, at its core, is a discipline built upon the very principles of formal language that Carnap and his predecessors Frege and Hilbert did so much to develop. The challenge of creating an artificial intelligence that can reason about the world is, in many ways, a continuation of Carnap's projects, the attempt to represent knowledge in a formal structure amenable to logical manipulation. This initial phase of Carnap's career established the foundational principles that would guide his life's work. He had identified the problem, assembled his logical toolkit, and sketched out the program for a new scientific philosophy. The next monumental step was to apply this logical apparatus to the most ambitious project of all, the construction of the entire empirical world from the ground up. The formidable logical machinery Carnap had absorbed from Frege, and Russell was poised for a task of breathtaking ambition. Having honed the tools of a new, rigorous philosophy, he turned them toward one of the oldest and most profound problems in Western thought, the relationship between our subjective experience and the objective, external world. The result was a monumental work of philosophical architecture, his 1928 magnum opus, Der logische Aufbau der Welt or the logical structure of the world. This book represents one of history's most audacious and systematic attempts to demonstrate how the entirety of human knowledge, from the physics of distant stars to the sociology of human culture, could be rationally reconstructed from the immediate, private data of conscious experience. The intellectual lineage of the Aufbau is clear and distinguished. Philosophically, it inherited the radical empiricism of Ernst Mach, who argued that science was ultimately an economical description of sensations. Mach's vision was powerful, yet it remained a programmatic sketch. It was Bertrand Russell who provided the crucial methodological key. In works like Our Knowledge of the External World, Russell championed the use of modern logic to replace inferred, mysterious entities with logical constructions built from things we know more directly. His famous maxim, whenever possible, substitute constructions out of known entities for inferences to unknown entities, became the guiding principle for Carnap's project. The Aufbau was, in essence, the full-scale logical execution of the Machiavellian program. It sought to build a logically transparent world, leaving no room for opaque metaphysical substances or unknowable things in themselves. The foundation of this entire logical edifice rests upon an astonishingly slender base. Carnap begins with what he calls the autopsychological domain, the stream of an individual's own experiences. The basic units, the fundamental bricks of his world, are elementary experiences, or Erlebnis and Erlebnis is a total, momentary slice of consciousness, a complete snapshot of everything one is sensing, feeling, and thinking at a given instant. These experiences are holistic and unanalyzed. The system then requires a single, fundamental relation to begin its work of organization. Carnap selects a relation of profound ingenuity and litigates Erinnerung or recollection of similarity. This is a three-part relation between two elementary experiences, say experience and experience B, which states that one part of it is remembered as being similar to a part of B. This choice is a masterstroke. It embeds both memory and comparison into the very bedrock of the system, allowing the logical machinery to begin sorting and structuring the undifferentiated flow of consciousness. From this primitive base, the construction proceeds in a rigorous, hierarchical fashion. The first step is to generate quality classes. By applying the relation of recollected similarity across the entire stream of elementary experiences, the system can group together all experiences that share a common quality. For example, all momentary experiences containing the sensation of a specific shade of cobalt blue would be gathered into a single logical class. This class is the quality of cobalt blue. It is a construction, a set of experiences with a shared property, with quality classes established. The system then constructs sense classes. A sense class, like the visual field or the auditory field, is a collection of quality classes that are structurally related in a specific way. The colors, for instance, form a system with a unique two-dimensional order of hue and saturation, which distinguishes the visual sense class from, say, the one-dimensional order of pitch in the auditory sense class. Having constructed the sensory domains, the Aufbau undertakes its most critical maneuver, the construction of a stable, four-dimensional space-time. Subjective experience is a fleeting, temporal flow. To arrive at an objective world, Carnap must show how this flow can be structured into a coherent, intersubjective physical order. He achieves this by defining topological and metrical relations between the constructed sense data points, effectively mapping the contents of experience onto a four-dimensional manifold corresponding to space-time. Physical objects, then, are logical constructions. The chair is a particular, lawfully behaving pattern of qualities assigned to a series of space-time points. It is a structure, within the system, a stable configuration of sensory possibilities, derived entirely from the primitive base of experience and the logic of relations. This process exemplifies what Carnap termed methodological solipsism, a formal procedure that begins with the data of a single consciousness to erect a structure that is ultimately objective and public. The final stages of the construction extend this logic to even higher levels of abstraction. After constructing the physical world, Carnap outlines how to construct the heteropsychological, the minds of other people. Another person's mind is constructed by observing their physical body itself, a complex logical construction, and ascribing to it mental states that correlate with its observed behavior. Finally, he gestures toward the construction of cultural objects, such as social institutions or ethical values, which are defined through the interrelations of many minds. The entire world of knowledge becomes a single, unified constitutional system where every legitimate concept has a precise address, its lineage traceable back to the bedrock of experience. The Aufbau is often remembered as a magnificent failure. Carnap himself, in later years, recognized the immense, perhaps insurmountable, technical difficulties in completing such a project. The precise definitions required for higher-level concepts proved fiendishly complex, yet its influence stems directly from its heroic ambition and crystalline clarity. It became a canonical text, a paradigm of what logical empiricism aimed to achieve. For Willard Van Orman Quine, a student who would become Carnap's most famous philosophical interlocutor, the Aufbau was the ultimate expression of the reductionist program. Quine's celebrated critique of the analytic synthetic distinction and of reductionism in his paper Two Dogmas of Empiricism was a direct intellectual reckoning with the project Carnap had so brilliantly articulated. Similarly, Nelson Goodman's later masterpiece, asterisk, the structure of appearance asterisk, stands as a powerful testament to the asterisk Aufbau asterisk-s influence. Goodman's work engaged with the same constructive challenge, adopting its rigor and seriousness of purpose, while proposing alternative foundations and structures. The book provoked a generation of philosophers to think with unprecedented clarity about the structure of knowledge, the meaning of objectivity, and the limits of empiricism. This grand attempt to construct the world from the ground up revealed the profound challenges inherent in any strictly empiricist program. The very scale of the difficulties encountered prompted a shift in perspective within Carnap's own work and within the broader Vienna Circle. The focus would gradually move from the ambitious project of building the world itself to the more tractable, yet equally vital, task of analyzing the language with which science describes that world. The formidable intellectual labor of the asterisk Aufbau asterisk revealed a crucial insight, a direct construction of the empirical world from raw sense data, while conceptually breathtaking, faced almost insurmountable technical and philosophical hurdles. This realization prompted a strategic pivot within Carnap's thought and across the Vienna Circle. The grand ambition of building reality from its phenomenal atoms gave way to a project of equivalent importance and perhaps greater precision in the logical dissection of the very language the science uses to articulate its claims about the world. Philosophy's role was reconceived. It would function as the clarifying engine of science, a discipline dedicated to exposing the logical skeleton beneath the flesh of empirical discovery. This new orientation found its canonical expression in Carnap's 1934 magnum opus, asterisk logic syntax, der Sprache asterisk, or asterisk, the logical syntax of language asterisk. Here, he confronted what he saw as the foundational sickness of traditional philosophy, its tendency to become entangled in intractable, meaningless disputes. Questions about the ultimate reality of numbers or the true nature of causality were, for Carnap, symptoms of a deep linguistic confusion. They were pseudo-problems, artifacts generated by a misunderstanding of the rules governing our own language. His radical therapeutic proposal was to treat philosophical questions as questions about the logical structure of language. The solution to philosophical deadlock was to step outside the language in question, the object's language, and analyze its formal properties using a clear, precise meta-language. Within this framework, Carnap articulated one of his most enduring and liberating contributions to the principle of tolerance. He declared, with a calm authority that belied the revolutionary nature of the statement, that in the domain of logic, there are no morals. There is no single, divinely ordained correct logic. One could construct a language with the classical logic of Russell and Whitehead, or one could design a language adhering to the intuitionistic logic of Brouwer, which rejected the law of the excluded middle. The choice between them was a practical one. The relevant question became which logical framework is most fruitful to the specific task at hand, be it formalizing arithmetic or describing quantum phenomena. This principle effectively dissolved centuries of metaphysical debate over the true laws of thought, recasting it as a pragmatic engineering problem concerning the optimal design of symbolic systems. This focus on the formal structure of language became the central tool for another of the Vienna Circle's great intellectual crusades, the unification of science. The challenge was the apparent chasm separating disciplines like physics, biology, psychology, and sociology. These fields used different vocabularies and different explanatory models, raising the question of whether they described fundamentally different layers of reality. The Circle's project, with Carnap as its chief logician, was to demonstrate a deep, underlying unity. This unity would be achieved through the establishment of a common linguistic framework, a universal language into which the propositions of any empirical science could, in principle, be translated. The exact character of this universal language was a matter of intense and productive debate, primarily between Carnap and his close colleague, the energetic sociologist and economist Otto Neurath. Ever the pragmatist with a keen sense of the social and public nature of science, was a powerful advocate for physicalism. He argued that the unifying language of science must be the language of physics, a language of spatio-temporal coordinates, of observable properties like mass and temperature. His reasoning was direct. Scientific claims must be intersubjectively testable. Statements about private sense data were unverifiable by others, while statements about the observable behavior of a physical object, whether a planet or a human subject in a psychological experiment, were open to public scrutiny. Neurath's insistence on a physicalist basis, grounded in what he colorfully termed protocol sentences that describe concrete observations, profoundly influenced Carnap. This pressure moved Carnap's own thinking away from a phenomenalist foundation toward this more robust, intersubjective physicalism, which he saw as the most viable candidate for a unified scientific discourse. The grand, though ultimately unfinished, International Encyclopedia of Unified Science stands as a monument to this ambition, an attempt to create a systematic exposition of the sciences from this unified, empiricist perspective. Parallel to the project of unifying scientific language, Carnap addressed the core epistemological question of how scientific theories are justified. He found Karl Popper's strict criterion of falsification to be an incomplete picture of scientific practice. Scientists frequently gather evidence that supports or confirms a hypothesis, even if it falls short of absolute proof. What was needed was a logical theory of this relationship of support. Carnap's answer was his intricate theory of confirmation, developed most extensively in his 1950 book, Logical Foundations of Probability *. He envisioned confirmation as a logical relation between two statements, a hypothesis, H, and an evidence statement, E. His goal was to create a quantitative system, a formal calculus that could assign a precise numerical value to the degree of confirmation of a hypothesis given a body of evidence. This value, a real number between 0 and 1, would represent a logical probability distinct from the frequency-based interpretation of probability common in statistics. It was a heroic attempt to build a formal inductive logic, a system that could do for inductive reasoning what deductive logic had done for mathematical proof. The intellectual weight of these contributions was immediate and immense. Carnap's rigorous, formal approach to the philosophy of science provided the essential toolkit for a generation of thinkers. His close friend and student, Karl Hempel, took Carnap's logical framework and used it to construct the highly influential deductive nomological model of scientific explanation, which posits that to explain an event is to show how it can be logically deduced from a set of general laws and initial conditions. Hempel's famous exploration of the paradoxes of confirmation, such as the paradox of the ravens, emerged directly from the logical analysis of evidence that Carnap had pioneered. Furthermore, Ernest Nagel's landmark 1961 work, *, The Structure of Science *, can be read as the great systematization of the logical empiricist program. Nagel's comprehensive analysis of scientific exclamation, theory reduction, and the nature of scientific laws owes its entire conceptual architecture to the logical methods and philosophical problems first articulated with such clarity by Carnap. Through this work, the analysis of science was transformed into a precise, logically informed discipline. Yet, this very precision in analyzing the language of science would soon demand an even deeper inquiry into the mechanics of meaning itself, a challenge Carnap was already preparing to meet. Building upon the rigorous logical framework Carnap established for analyzing scientific explanation, his attention turned to a deeper, more fundamental question, the very nature of meaning within formal languages. This inquiry, a natural extension of his earlier work, led him to make profound contributions to semantics and the philosophy of language, profoundly shaping our understanding of how language connects to reality. The central problem he tackled was the age-old challenge of meaning, in reference how do words and sentences acquire meaning, and how do they relate to the objects and states of affairs they describe. Carnap's approach was characterized by a commitment to precision and formality. He believed that the ambiguities and vaguenesses inherent in natural language hindered clear thinking and rigorous analysis. Therefore, he sought to develop a formal language, a system of symbols and rules capable of expressing scientific knowledge with complete accuracy. This ambition stemmed directly from his earlier engagement with the logical positivist movement, and particularly the work of Rudolf Frege, whose emphasis on the logical structure of language deeply influenced Carnap's thinking. Frege's work on sense and reference, his attempt to distinguish between the meaning of a term and the object he refers to, provided a crucial foundation for Carnap's later semantic investigations. Likewise, Ludwig Wittgenstein's Tractatus Logico-Philosophicis though Carnap later diverged from some of its conclusions, provided a powerful impetus for his early work in logical syntax. Wittgenstein's focus on the logical structure of propositions as mirroring the structure of the world resonated deeply with Carnap's desire to create a formal language capable of capturing the world's logical architecture. Central to Carnap's semantic project was his work on logical syntax. He meticulously analyzed the formal structure of languages, developing methods for determining the logical form of sentences and for identifying logical truths, statements that are true solely by virtue of their logical form, independent of their content. This concept of logical truth, inherited from Frege and further developed by Carnap, played a crucial role in semantic theory. He argued that the meaning of a sentence can be understood by analyzing its logical form and its relationship to other sentences within the formal system. A tangible example of this approach is found in his detailed analysis of various logical calculi, where he demonstrated how the true values of complex sentences could be determined from the true values of their constituent parts based purely on the logical connectives involved. This analysis, published in several influential papers and books, provided a framework for evaluating the logical consistency and coherence of formal systems. The impact of Carnap's semantic work extends far beyond the realm of pure logic. His rigorous approach to the analysis of language found application in diverse fields. The development of formal semantics, a field deeply indebted to Carnap's pioneering work, plays a vital role in contemporary linguistics. Linguists employ Carnap's methods to analyze the meaning of sentences, to study the relationship between language and cognition, and to build computational models of language understanding. Moreover, Carnap's ideas have had a profound influence on computer science and artificial intelligence. The development of formal languages for programming and the design of knowledge representation systems rely heavily on the principles of logical syntax and semantics that Carnap articulated. Modern natural language processing systems, which aim to enable computers to understand and generate human language, draw heavily on the insights of formal semantics, demonstrating a direct lineage to Carnap's work. Carnap's influence on subsequent generations of philosophers of language is undeniable. His work inspired numerous scholars to explore the relationship between language, logic, and the world. For instance, Alfred Tarski's work on truth definitions, which built upon and extended Carnap's ideas, provides a powerful framework for understanding the relationship between language and reality. Tarski's concept of truth, which he explicitly linked to Carnap's work, allowed for precise and rigorous definition of truth within formal languages, a major advance in semantic theory. Similarly, the work of Richard Montague, who developed a formal framework for natural language semantics, directly builds upon Carnap's insights into the logical structure of language and the importance of formal methods for analyzing meaning. Montague's work, which integrated elements of Carnap's approach into a framework for natural language, demonstrated the practical applicability of Carnap's ideas to a broader range of linguistic phenomena. These examples clearly illustrate the profound and lasting impact of Carnap's semantic contributions on the field of philosophy of language. His meticulous work on logical syntax and his development of a formal approach to semantics provided a foundation for much of the subsequent work in this area. His legacy continues to shape contemporary research, demonstrating the enduring relevance of his ideas. Carnap's enduring legacy extends far beyond the specific achievements detailed previously. His rigorous approach to logic and semantics profoundly reshaped the landscape of philosophy, influencing generations of thinkers and shaping ongoing debates within philosophy of science and philosophy of language. The meticulous nature of his work, characterized by a relentless pursuit of formal precision, stands as a testament to his intellectual commitment. His impact on the development of formal semantics, for example, is undeniable. Alfred Tarski, a key figure in the development of model theory, engaged deeply with Carnap's work on logical syntax, using and extending Carnap's ideas to formulate his own influential theory of truth. Tarski's concept of truth as correspondence to reality, while distinct from Carnap's approach, owes a significant intellectual debt to the framework established by Carnap's earlier work on formal languages. This interaction showcases the generative power of Carnap's contributions, prompting further developments and refinements within the field. The impact of Carnap's work on the philosophy of science is equally profound. His emphasis on the importance of empirical verification and his development of a logical framework for analyzing scientific theories provided a foundation for much of the subsequent work in this area. The logical positivists, a group of philosophers heavily influenced by Carnap, sought to ground scientific knowledge in empirical observation and logical analysis. Carnap's work on the construction of scientific languages and his efforts to clarify the logical structure of scientific theories were instrumental in shaping the logical positivist program. While the logical positivist project itself faced significant challenges and criticisms, Its influence on the development of the philosophy of science is undeniable, and Carnap's work formed a cornerstone of this movement. His ideas on the role of observation statements in scientific inquiry and his emphasis on the importance of clear and precise language continue to resonate in contemporary discussions about the nature of scientific knowledge and methodology. His influence can be traced to the work of later philosophers of science who grappled with the complexities of scientific theories and the limitations of purely empirical approaches. For example, the work of Bas van Fresen, who developed the constructive empiricism, demonstrates a direct engagement with issues raised by Carnap's work, even if Van Fresen ultimately offers a different perspective. Carnap's influence extends beyond philosophy of science and philosophy of language. His work on inductive logic and probability theory had a significant impact on the development of statistics and decision theory. The rigorous application of logical methods to problems of inference and prediction laid the groundwork for later developments in these fields. The formalization of inductive reasoning, a task undertaken by Carnap and others, demonstrated the potential of applying logical tools to areas traditionally considered outside the realm of formal logic. This approach, while not without its limitations, expanded the scope of logical analysis and provided a framework for analyzing the complexities of inductive reasoning. His work on probability also had a lasting impact, providing a foundation for the development of more sophisticated Bayesian methods used extensively in contemporary statistics and machine learning. However, Carnap's work was not without its limitations and critiques. Some critics argued that his emphasis on formal languages and logical analysis neglected the importance of other aspects of human experience, such as the role of values and emotions in shaping our understanding of the world. Others questioned the feasibility of constructing a complete and consistent language for science, highlighting the inherent complexity and open-endedness of scientific inquiry. These critiques, while challenging certain aspects of Carnap's program, do not diminish the importance of his contributions. His work stimulated significant debate and provided a valuable framework for analyzing the logical structure of scientific theories and the nature of meaning. His relentless pursuit of clarity and precision, while perhaps not fully realized, set a high standard for philosophical rigor and continues to inspire contemporary philosophers. The evolution of Carnap's philosophical views throughout his career also provides valuable insight into the development of his thought. His early work focused on logical positivism, but later he moved toward a more pragmatic and less dogmatic approach. This shift reflects a growing awareness of the limitations of purely logical and empiricist approaches to philosophy. His later work on inductive logic and his emphasis on the importance of practical considerations in scientific inquiry demonstrate this evolution. This intellectual journey, far from diminishing his influence, illustrates the dynamic and evolving nature of his philosophical thought. His willingness to adapt his views in light of criticism and new insights exemplifies intellectual honesty and underscores the multifaceted nature of his contribution to philosophy. In conclusion, Rudolf Carnap's impact on philosophy, logic, and the philosophy of science remains profound and enduring. His meticulous work on formal languages, semantics, and inductive logic provided a foundation for much subsequent work in these areas. While his work has faced criticisms, its enduring influence on contemporary debates demonstrates its lasting significance. Carnap's legacy lies not only in his specific achievements, but also in his unwavering commitment to clarity, precision, and rigorous logical analysis. His work continues to challenge and inspire philosophers and scientists alike, prompting ongoing reflection on the nature of knowledge, language, and the scientific enterprise. His influence extends far beyond the specific technical details of his work. His approach, characterized by a commitment to formal rigor and a relentless pursuit of clarity, continues to shape philosophical discourse. The ongoing relevance of his ideas in addressing contemporary challenges in these fields speaks to the lasting impact of his work and secures his place as a pivotal figure in 20th century philosophy.
We really appreciate you tuning in to this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.